Good afternoon, everyone. It's me, Reyes, here again with Fresh Arts. If this is your first time tuning in, Fresh Arts is a arts nonprofit organization situated in Houston, Texas. We provide resources, amongst many other things, to artists in Houston. But through our digital presence, such as the one you're watching right now, we've been able to expand our reach out to kind of not just within Houston, but to wherever you're tuning in from. And so we provide, again, resources to artists, creatives, primarily, but we also provide them with platforms, with audiences, with our own reach to people who are not artists or who don't consider themselves creatives. And so with that in mind, today we have a particularly special program. In the past, what we've had is we've had discussions with outside experts or guests or people who can speak to a specific topic. But today is a little special. Today, we're going to actually have a Q&A with myself and my colleague, Angela Carranza, who will be on the show in a minute. But the purpose of today is to ask questions, and it's going to be informal, particularly because, one, we're not particularly experts at live streaming, but it's certainly been an adventure. It's certainly been tons of adjustments that we've had to take to adjust to the crisis, to our programming, and we'll get into that in a minute. But again, feel free to ask questions in regards along our discussion in regards to how do you stream live, best practices, any tips that you would like to hear if we don't touch upon it. But again, feel free to always drop a Q&A, a question in the Facebook comments below, and we'll be sure to answer them. And so today, I'm actually going to be in the hot seat. I'm actually going to be asked questions as well as Angela. I know Angela often isn't on the show, but now you're going to get to see the person who's responsible for all the amazing visuals, all the production that you've been witnessing lately. And we'll go into that process as well, kind of how the show has changed, how our programming has shifted. And again, always feel free to ask questions about what your particular situation is, and we'll do our best to answer that or to provide some context or some tips or advice. And so the host will actually be, wait for it, Sydney Mitchell, who you may know from the Resource Roundups, who talks about the Art on Tap, but then she also does other amazing things on social media. So all the great posts, all the stuff that you see on Instagram Live, that's Sydney. She handles our communications, and so she will be the one asking the questions and doing most of the interview. And so I look forward to that. So yeah, Angela, if you want to come on, Sydney. There you are. Sydney, your mic.
All right, here I am. I get to play host today, everyone. Thank you for that introduction, Reyes. My name is Sydney. I handle all communications for Fresh Arts. So what Fresh Arts has done is, in response to this COVID-19 pandemic and its impact it's had on our creative community, we decided to launch a series of live webinars and video conversations to discuss the issues that local artists are facing right now and to provide info and guidance on those resources and services that exist to support them at this time. Our video topics range from local artist interviews, updates from the HAA, discussions on unemployment eligibility for artists, and the list goes on. However, with that being said, that means a lot of us at Fresh Arts have had to take on new roles and learn new things switching to virtual and live digital platforms. So all of us, we're still in this learning process, but it's been an amazing experience to be able to connect with everyone via live stream. So this interview, I'm really looking forward to it. And again, I just want to say thank you to all the video participants and partners who helped to make all of this possible, because without you, we wouldn't have this platform to help our artists. So without further ado, I want to start off this interview by asking, we'll start with Reyes, and then we can go to Angela. Just give us kind of a brief roundup from beginning to end on how this journey has been for you guys with having to switch from your roles, because Reyes, I know you handle all the programs, outreach, coordination for Fresh Arts. Angela, you do the programs outreach as well for Fresh Arts. So I just want to get y'all's opinion on how this journey has been. So Reyes, we can start with you.
Yeah, so with me, so I'm the programs outreach coordinator. I was brought on to reach out to different communities and to essentially expand the reach of Fresh Arts within Houston. And even right before this, I've been doing 10 county outreach in the surrounding counties of Houston. And usually with that, one of the main tactics that I did do with that, with my position, was to go to different communities, go to different spaces, and do workshops on what Fresh Arts does. The grant proposal one that I did digitally a few weeks back, that was something I usually offer in person. So I've done it with Houston Housing Authority. I've done it with Community Artist Collective. I've done it with different communities and organizations. And particularly as an outreach person, who I've been doing outreach, I've been doing community organizing for a minute. And one of the ways that I've really appreciated is going to different communities to talk about ways that, what I have access to, what they can have access to. And so having that in-person experience with another individual, with a creative, was a really cool part of what I do. But with the crisis, with the outbreak of COVID-19, that couldn't happen anymore. I can't go to spaces anymore, or at least I can't do so responsibly, and encourage others to come and put their health at risk. And so it was certainly an adjustment from being able to see a person and hear what they have to say and then respond to me like actively. And now I'm just kind of like a face on a screen, and I can't see my viewers. I can't see the people I'm talking to. And I think that kind of throws me off of like what my traditional understanding of what community means, or community outreach, of what it means to go into a community and talk to them and hear what they have to say to me. And so it's been an interesting kind of adjustment of going from, community outreach or organizing to now be kind of this face on the screen. And it's been an adjustment.
I can understand that. Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment, but it's also reaching the community with a new platform. So I think this is an add-on experience for Fresh Arts that we're all just trying to get on the wave. Thank you for that, Reyes. Angela, can you give us a brief overview of how your journey has been?
Hi, everybody. Just want to do some quick shout outs. Hi, Claire. Hi, Lynn. I see y'all watching. Yeah, I'm normally behind the scenes, so me being on camera is, it's new to me. I don't like cameras on me. So my journey has been, I've enjoyed this process of doing live streaming because I haven't had to be in front of the camera like Reyes. When we pivoted our programming to move from in-person programs with our workshops and Artist Inc. and even our gala, having everything go virtual. We did it so quickly. Initially, I was supposed to be the one that was doing the interviews and hosting the webinars, and it became very apparent that I was not the best candidate for it, and that Reyes is like a superstar at hosting. Mm-hmm. So I'm thankful that I've had him as my partner along in this journey because I couldn't do it alone. But I am enjoying sort of being responsive to the community. And with our webinar series, with our video conversation series, it's been part of like our storytelling and resource sharing initiative, which is something that I've really enjoyed doing. And hearing from artists and learning what topics that they've been interested in, doing this webinar today has been in direct response to people in the comments asking, what platform are you using? Like, how are you doing this with the graphics? And so from the production side, I've had a lot of fun playing around with the graphics and doing different backgrounds and just sort of playing around with it and being creative with it while also trying to provide vital resources, information for the community.
Definitely. Thank you for that. So I'm going to go ahead and add back in Reyes because we all want to get this conversation going. So what I wanted to ask was, I'll start with you, Reyes. You remember the very, very first Facebook Live that we had to do. kind of give what was going through your mind and how you were ready to get prepared for that, and also your thoughts on that, because it's out there now and we can see how we have progressed. But I can't wait to drop in this video for everyone to see how far we have come. But Reyes, I just want to get your opinion on this first Facebook Live that we ever did.
Oh man. So kind of going into that, so what I try to do is I try to translate what I normally do with like one-on-one interactions with artists in the community, where it's like, oh, like you have this issue, or you want access to this resource, or you want to do this or that. And I'd usually just have a conversation with them anyways and be like, oh, well, here, there's this resource. You should talk to these people. You should check this organization out. And so I try to translate that kind of conversational kind of one-on-one that I would have with anyone that would come up to me, or whenever I would go into a community and they would ask me questions, and I would do my best to advise them. Just because simply it is kind of part of my job to be aware of what's going on in the arts community in different parts of it, different parts of Houston. But then I saw that, as you'll see in the first video, it was very awkward because it's not a one-on-one. It's not really a conversational, for me at least, platform. It took an adjustment of like looking at a camera, of pacing myself. It's taking breaths and being able to kind of point to things. Even just that, like just showing someone a website or a resource is like, it was awkward because we only had like you were behind the iPhone.
Yeah.
You just see those zoom ins, and it's sort of like, yeah, and that's the thing. It took an adjustment of knowing what was available, because at the time we were scrambling, and Angela, I'm sure you'll speak to more about that, of like scrambling to put together like a studio, even like just like this very makeshift studio, and me talking at something, and I think it was, you could see kind of the awkwardness of the situation in me being like adjusting in time, like in real time, of like dawning on me. I'm like, oh crap, this is not what I planned out. I'm talking to a phone right now. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just I just wasn't used to that. I'm used to looking at a human face.
Yeah,
and responding to that.
Definitely. So I'm gonna let our audience see this first clip of us going on Facebook Live, and then Angela will get your take on it, because you were part of the whole production process, setting up the whole stage setting. So I just want everyone to get a look.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, as I said before, patience, especially with organizations and with artists who are still figuring out digital mediums, is our Fresh Arts Registry. And I can pull that up real quick. It's just freshartsregistry.org, where you can set up an online profile.
Cool cats and kittens. I hope you've been well, and I hope you've been safe. My name is Reyes Ramirez. I am with Fresh Arts. I am the program's outreach coordinator. So kind of moving on, we're going to go to the arts happenings portion. Thank you, Angela. Hi, everyone. It's Reyes Ramirez here with Fresh Arts, coming at you live from the Fresh Arts offices.
Want to be featured now, and it just keeps growing day by day.
Oh God! So
I just have to say the cat and kittens tagline. I need to use that for my hosting abilities.
Yeah, I was trying to be, in tune with the zeitgeist, with the pop culture. But yeah, you can see there just me adjusting every single time to each new platform. And it takes a minute. So definitely be patient with yourself, and your ridiculousness won't exist on the internet forever. I did that for y'all. I'm just kidding. Sorry, please.
Angela, do you want to speak more on having to be behind the scenes at the very first Facebook Lives as we were transitioning? What was that process like? What were thoughts going through your head, and how did you want to make sure that it came out kind of intriguing to our audience, because this was a new area for us? So what were your thoughts?
Oh man, it was scary at first. I had never done anything live before, and that very first when we were using my iPhone to video, and never having done it before, we had planned out where the posters were going to go behind Reyes, and placing the lighting, and we had. You can't really see the flowers that are still on Reyes's desk that we positioned, and as soon as there they go. As soon as we went live, we had to get a text message from Marcy, who told us like, "Hey, the video is sideways." We had no idea. I had no idea. We thought we had a nice like landscape vignette, and little did we know, we were sideways, so we had to stop the video and start over again. So I
think we had to stop it twice. I'm sure that was one for the books.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're live, it's live, it's out there, and here we are. We're normally really
bear with us,
and we really rehearsed with the things that we do, and all of this has been really out of my comfort zone. Yeah. We've gotten better at it, but in the video, you can see we were testing out different things. So we were using my iPhone at first, and I must say that if you're using your iPhone to go directly live, make sure that you have like the social media limitations off your phone. So I had reminders like after 15 minutes to remind me to get off of social media, and I still had those while we were recording. So the message would come up and it would stop the video. So in the very early days, like it took at least 4 videos before I realized like I should take this off because it keeps doing it. But that was one of like the learning challenges for all of this. And since I'm on the production side, I know Reyes has the interviews handled, the questions in the prep. He's so professional with all of that. I've been trying to bring my A game of like, how can I improve these videos? How can I make them look a little bit better? And graphics, I'm all about the visuals. So, moving away from the iPhone, we tried to, I guess we tried doing a different backdrop. I wanted it to recreate like a newscaster scene, how they've been doing it in their living rooms, and they've got like a TV behind, and it's got their logo, and they're doing a fancy slideshow. So we tried doing that. And you saw that in the video. And then we also tried doing Zoom. I'm completely new to Zoom, but I had never done Zoom before this crisis, and now I'm on Zoom every single day, all day. But we tried doing that method with like the green screen behind us, and and now we're using, I don't know if we've said it already, we're using StreamYard, and this has been really fun to play around with, adding the graphics.
Definitely. And Reyes, speaking on to how we kind of upgraded from using the iPhone to using the platform, let's start with the first software that we used and how you think that was helpful switching from the iPhone to a more sophisticated system that would at least give our audience better visuals than, me putting the iPhone upside down and watching you speak upside down live on Facebook.
Yeah, I think kind of a thing to consider is what you want to show to people, what content you want to provide, and whether or not if you have the capabilities to show that as effectively as you can. So for the iPhones, in just going directly to Facebook Live, that's good. If it's a simple, you're just talking to a camera and you're saying something, right? So like in terms of the arts, I've seen poets do it for like to read their work, where it's just a singular person speaking at a camera. If that's what you're doing, perfect. But the thing is, it gets more complicated when you get into like links and videos. And yes, because Facebook Live cannot do, as far as I understand, or the way I know it, you can't bring on a guest to your Facebook Live. You might be able to do that on Instagram, but then you get into like, okay, well, I wanted to do interviews, but I don't know how to do that on Facebook Live. So then you have to kind of branch out. And so for Zoom, I know going into that, we tried Zoom Next because it was this industry standard, and you can bring on different people. But then the issue became kind of screen sharing, easy that was, or how quickly we could do that in the context of real time. And then also the awkwardness of kind of like being able to have, let's say, like a voiceover over the video, over an image on the screen. And so we're like, oh, it's not really you can do it on Zoom. It's just, it wasn't as instantaneous or as simple as we wanted it to be. Because when you're doing, like me, when I'm talking and I'm going through a PowerPoint, or I'm going through a slide, or I'm going through images, I can't see anything else. Exactly. And so it's really dependent on having Angela, who's been amazing to adjust to all these different platforms, to all these different softwares and apps, to kind of sit in the background and do that. And so kind of considering like what content you want to put out there, StreamYard, all I have to do is just click one button right below the screen. Like right now you see my face, but below that is like just everything I need. And it's just one click. And all that has to happen is Angela just approves it, or
definitely.
And so like, it's been certainly an adjustment to know, like, me as being on air, what can I do at that moment? And so with Facebook Live, you saw the weird zooms in, you know, like, and again, you were doing the best you could with those circumstances. I mean, a camera is a camera. I mean, and so like, whenever I wanted to show a link, you had to like zoom in to the computer screen, right? And same thing with Zoom. Like whenever we did our Zoom, whenever I wanted to show a resource, you know, there was kind of an awkward background, or like I could do a screen share, but it wasn't as crisp as this, or it wasn't as, in my opinion, it wasn't as like good looking as this.
Definitely.
Or intuitive. And so certainly, you know, what you want to provide and what you're capable of. And I think kind of the less variables you have to control every single time you want to go live, the better.
Definitely. Just to touch on how you're saying with using your iPhone on Facebook, you can't invite someone in on that Facebook Live. However, on Instagram, you can. But again, with the limited capabilities, you might not be able to show as much as you want. And I'm going to bring in Angela, because you are very fundamental in giving us these resources of different platforms. So how did you come to having that knowledge of like what platforms you think would work for us personally? Because there are some people who do use Zoom, some people who do use different platforms. I know, again, we've dropped StreamYard so many times, but were you just reaching out to people like, hey, how did you create that cool video? Did you have people reach out to us? Or you're kind of just always like in the know and like, hey, we got to try this platform. It's better than using the iPhone. So like, how did you go about doing that?
Well, initially we were working with a video producer, Bend Productions, who is awesome. If you have it within your budget to hire an outside producer, I definitely recommend doing so. And Bend Productions is fantastic, and we look forward to working with them again. We had contracted them to work on the first series of videos that we did, where we were bringing in multiple partners from other organizations. We worked with SCORE and the Small Business Association, TELA and HAA. And, you know, again, all of this, we jumped into it so quickly, we had no idea how to do this and how to do it and make it look professional. And so learning from the platform that he uses, which is vMix Call. It's really intricate. It's extremely professional looking. In my opinion, it's probably the same type of software that you see like on the Today Show and all of those other shows that are pivoting to this at-home virtual telecasting. And it looked really great. And so when our contract with him ended, because again, at first we thought we were just going to have to do this for a couple of weeks. We had no idea really what we were getting ourselves into with everything, or the full ramifications of the coronavirus. And a couple of weeks in, we realized, hey, this is like the new normal now. Like this is how we're going to have to do our programs if we want to continue providing resources. And it became really apparent we're going to have to figure out how to do this on our own so that we can stay flexible and nimble and responsive, and be able to do videos whenever we want and with whoever we want. So the first video that we did without having a video producer, I was kind of scrambling of like how it's going to look so apparent that we were having these really professional videos, and now we're like on, it's just like a Zoom call. And, we relied on our PR firm, Medley Inc., and we sort of talked things out of what was my skill level with doing video production and what did we want it to look like. My skill level is I'm absolute beginner. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I just want to put that out there. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never used any of these technologies before. And so I was really nervous at first making that jump of, I don't know that I can do it. I don't know. But I was Ashley Small who had suggested StreamYard. You know, she said, hey, I think from what you guys are needing and what you're doing, StreamYard seems like it would make a lot of sense where you can have your branded colors and different backgrounds and the screen sharing and have some of that consistency of the nice video production that we had with Bent Productions. So what I did was I watched, I don't know, at least 3 hours of videos of like, how do you do live stream? That is what I Googled. You know, how do you live stream? Where do you start? And looking at all of those beginner videos. And I watched several videos of how to do StreamYard, how to add graphics, how to add videos, and looking and playing around with it, I realized like, this is actually pretty easy. So that would be my recommendation for anybody who's wanting to do something that's where you're interviewing and maybe you are screen sharing and you want to have it branded to something, you know, specific. StreamYard is a really great option. There's a free version. We pay for like the basic, which allows us to have more flexibility and ability to brand a little bit more. Again, there is a free version. So that would be my recommendation for anybody just to start out is like play around with the different platforms, play around with Zoom, play around with StreamYard. Yeah.
I think also I wanted to touch on the branding element of it because you'll see our Facebook Lives or Reyes on his resource roundup and you automatically know that's Fresh Arts, obviously because of the logo in the corner and the colors. But
how about Sydney for making that awesome logo?
We can get more into that, but why did you think, or do you think it's important to have your brand as an artist or an art organization or a creative entrepreneur? Is it important to always have where people can see your Facebook Live that they know it's yours, like make it your own and not like another Facebook Live that they see all the time?
Yeah, for us and for me, it was really important. You know, we had gone through a rebranding process about 2 years ago. And so wanting, you know, at least our logo to be on the video was something important so that when people are, you know, scrolling through Facebook, they can stop and recognize like, oh, that's Fresh Arts. And then also thinking through from the organization side of, you know, there's sometimes like specific calls to action that we want to have that are prominent of, we want them to know what video they're watching. So like on this video, we've got the little ticker that's going on the bottom that reminds people you're watching Fresh Arts Adventures and live streaming. And then we also, if we're sharing a link, which we do a lot of, like particularly with the resource roundup, it's a lot of link sharing. So making those links appear on the bottom was something that was important. And I'm behind the scenes and I work a lot on the business aspect of what Fresh Arts does, but my background is visual, so I like to make things a little custom, and I like to be in control of like the color background that I have, and so for me, it was kind of important to have a balance of both, of being able to put the organization face forward, logo forward, but then also making it something that was visually appealing.
Definitely. Thank you for that. I want to bring Reyes back in because he was the one always in front of the camera. Reyes, what was your take on, I guess, how can you differentiate? We went from Zoom to using like Bin Productions to StreamYard. They're all great platforms. Do you think one person would benefit more on StreamYard versus benefiting more on Zoom or using a third-party production company? Do you think like they have different comparisons, or what's your take on that?
The thing to consider, as I said before, is like the content you want to provide, what exactly does that take? And so I think kind of going through your inventory of what you're going to present, how you're going to present it is important. And so like in the presentation style. And so I think for like Facebook Live, like as I said before, if you're just going to talk to a camera, that's fine. But I think kind of the benefit of having, let's say, of like a like a Ben Productions helping us out, was that if you really wanted to get into the nitty gritty of much more technical aspects, I think one time for one video, we had a really kind of difficult situation where someone was trying to work from like a government computer, and that they couldn't log on, or they couldn't use a certain program because it had been, not able, the government laptop or the government restrictions would not allow to be allow a certain software to be used without installing it, and you just can't install stuff that you want on certain computers. And so like that was really helpful to have like a production director to kind of like be able to know the technicalities and to know how to work around those things. And that's really important. I think in the past videos there would be music overlays, right? We don't have those anymore, and it's fine, and it's not something we need. But does that add an extra flair? Absolutely. But if you're someone who's trying to go for something else and you need that, and so that's kind of the differences with me. And then now, or even back then, like we had to do like check-ins, right? Of like me prepping guests the day before or the morning of, and it was like a scramble of like getting 3 people, right, to be on the same page. And so a production director really helps with that, because I'm focused on the interview. I'm focused on questions. I'm focused on the script. I'm focused on bullet points I have to hit and targets I have to hit in interacting with the guest. And so I think kind of having someone on the back end like help you with all that, even now, like responding to Facebook comments, that's incredibly like difficult to do live if you're already like have an idea or a script in mind. And so like the difference with all those and now is now that like I can see comments, Facebook comments. Back then, I think we had to do with Zoom, Angela would have to write down questions on a piece of paper and hand them over to me. But now I can just see the comments literally like to my right, like on the screen, and I can respond to people on air. Like for example, like, hey Teresa, thank you so much, and thank you Anastasia for complimenting me on the resource roundups. That means a lot. And so it's those little things right now that I'm doing that really like help. One, close the gap, as I said, like looking at someone in the face. Well, now I can respond to them directly. And again, with like Zoom, I couldn't see the Facebook comments, so I couldn't respond to them until Angela told me, which may have been already too late, or because maybe she didn't want to interrupt, or blah 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 blah. The point being that like if you want more interactivity, you have to look at different platforms that will provide that for you with your viewers. If that's really important to you. If having music overlaid over title cards and having like transitions of like star swipes or whatever you want, if that's important to you, well, you're gonna have to look up the software and learn how to do that. But I think having all that planned out, the more planned out you have it, the better. That way you can pick the best thing possible for what you want to present. And so for me, being in front of the camera, again, I'm focused on presenting, right? I'm focused on talking with people. I'm focused on interacting with guests or responding to comments. And that's really important to us because, again, interactivity, replicating that face-to-face one-on-one conversation is really important to us, and it's important to me. And so whatever software is going to provide that best for us, that's what we have to go with. And so,
definitely.
Yeah.
And I also just wanted to touch on, because I see a question from Mark. Let me see if I can put on the screen. It's, tell us how it works to go live on Instagram and bring in a guest versus Facebook. Are there time limits, and how do you make sure that people see it? I will, if you guys know, Fresh Arts, we decided to do, in addition to Resource Roundup on Tuesdays, we're doing an IG Live where I kind of give a rundown on our Art on Tap events that are happening that week, as well as we bring on an artist to kind of speak on that Instagram Live so they can have another platform to share their work, to share what they've been doing, what they've been up to given this current crisis. It's really simple and easy on Instagram Live. You can also do it on Facebook Live. With Instagram Live, you can invite someone to join you once you start streaming live on your feed. Once they accept that request, they will pop up on your screen. So for people who have iPhones, if you understand how FaceTime works, that's kind of how it looks on Instagram, and it's just like a split screen. You guys can go back and forth, talk with each other. Their viewers can see their story, like your personal viewers can see the live stream as well. You could add in different graphic elements that you have saved to your camera roll. So it's good. It's best to save any type of visuals that you want to show on the Instagram Live, just so you have it beforehand and you can put it up on the screen while both of you guys are talking. So whoever is the host of the Instagram Live, you're the one who can share the content that you wanted to share with your viewers, and the person that you invited will be kind of like in the right-hand corner and they'll be able to see it as well. The same goes for Facebook. Now, there aren't any time limits. However, you do want to make sure that when you end any type of live stream on Facebook or Instagram from your phone, you're going to save it to the story. So sometimes you may not get a lot of viewership and you want more people to see it. So that in that case, you want to make sure that you save it to your stories or a Facebook story. So that's where it lives for 24 hours before it's taken down. You can also save it to Instagram TV, which is a kind of a new, it's been around, but I don't think a lot of people use it enough. You can save it to there as well and create like a entire Instagram TV series of just your Instagram Live stories, or you can publish it to your actual page where it lives forever. So I think that's really important to make sure that you save it so people can go back and reference it at any time.
Sydney, if I may add, so on Instagram Live, to invite guests, they have to have an Instagram account, right?
Yes. So you can't, if you do not have an Instagram account, unfortunately, you cannot join in on a live streaming. That would be great if they could somehow enable that feature, but I guess the whole thing is they want you to create an Instagram so you can join in on that, which is why I recommend also, if you can't do that type of live, using something like StreamYard, because it's really user-friendly.
Yeah, and so kind of like, and I'm sure Angela can go into this as well, where the thing about these kind of like other apps or softwares is that you can invite anyone and you're just using the social media to project it, right? So like right now we're on Facebook Live, but we're not using Facebook to film this. Like we could film this independently whenever we want and then stream it on Facebook.
Yep.
But we're using StreamYard to facilitate this discussion,
exactly.
Put the fancy graphics, to add all that, to add guests. All the guests need is a camera and a microphone. You don't need a Facebook account when you're using this kind of back-end software.
Yes. And then Angela, did you want to speak more on what Reyes touched on? I think you're muted, Angela.
Sorry. Yeah, so like since we're using StreamYard, I think you can have up to 6 people on sort of like an interview on this call. It's called a broadcast. And you can also, what I like about it from my production side is that I can be on the call, but you don't have to see me. So usually when Reyes is doing the resource roundup, or if he's doing one of the webinars with another host, I'm on the call. I can see them. I can hear everything, but I'm hidden, and so I can talk to them behind the screen, behind the scenes, and so that's how it works there. And then I don't know if we can maybe give people a behind the scenes for StreamYard of what our format looks like.
I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see like the back end of it. Let's see if this works. Awesome. We're gonna. Alrighty. Well, that looks interesting. But if you guys can kind of see, we kind of right here is moderating all of the little logos that you see going at the bottom. Right here is just all of our folders that Angela has separated into different folders, so we can use it for our StreamYard Lives. Also on this right side, you have your banners, you have your brand, which has all the graphics, or we can change it. It's really user friendly. And like down here, you see all of us on the back end. Hey guys. But it's like really, I would say this platform was new to me when I heard of it. And I think it's the coolest technology because you don't have to be a pro in video production. You can, like Angela said, she watch three videos to get the rundown on how to produce a live stream, and that was it for you. And then you're still learning as you go, but it's something that's very simple, that's very user friendly.
Yeah, and I can share with people. So there's this video link here in our resource library, where we archive all the videos that we've done. We also provide additional resources that complement that video. So if you go to this link down here, I've posted, the video will be there after this production, but there's also some other resources. There's a link to another video that we did with Ashley Small, where she's talking through some of the other platforms and the marketing side of how do you market these your video content, virtual content. But I've also, in this video, this link down here, I've linked to a couple of the videos that I watched that I found to be really helpful to, behind the scenes for StreamYard, of how to add the graphics and just, beginner level stuff for this platform. And I think I saw a question from Marcy about the other platforms that we considered before deciding to use StreamYard. Yeah, again, we tried to do it just super simple with, let's just do the let's do straight from our phone. And then we did Zoom. I didn't really see another platform other than the vMix call that we were using with Bend Productions. That's the only other software that I saw, their platform that I saw that was similar and that you could brand it and add different marketing elements to it. It seemed a lot more complicated, which is why a professional video producer would use that software. It seemed way too out of my league. And so after that, I honestly didn't think that there was going to be anything that on my skill level that I would be able to use. Until I watched some of those YouTube videos on how to use StreamYard, did I really even think that it was something that was possible for me.
Look, YouTube is a lifesaver these days. You can become an expert at anything.
Yeah. And I also want to mention, we keep talking about StreamYard. StreamYard did not sponsor this, but if they would like to sponsor this video, they can reach me at angela@fresharts.org.
You heard it here first. Come sponsor us. We're doing great things for our art community. I think we have another question from Teresa asking, are you able to manage the stream and answer questions through the platform at the same time, and also invite guests to the broadcast too?
Yes. So on, you had showed it with the screen when you shared your screen. So on the right-hand corner of my screen and everybody else's screen, so you see it, and Ray sees it, anybody who's invited to the broadcast, you can see all of the comments. So this is linked to Facebook. You can also link it to, I think there's other platforms. You can link it to YouTube Live, I think LinkedIn, Vimeo. There was a whole list of things that you can link it to. And so we just have it linked to Facebook. And so on the sidebar is all the comments. So I can see the comments, Sydney can see the comments, Reyes can see the comments. And any one of us can just comment directly from the screen, which is really great. You don't have to have multiple screens open. You can just do everything all on this one screen. And you can also invite multiple guests in throughout the production. So if Teresa, if you wanted to join the call, all I would do is share a simple little URL. You go to the URL and you enter in your name, and then you're in. You don't have to have an account. You don't have to link it to your Facebook. You just get direct access with that URL. So at any point during this broadcast, you could invite multiple people in, again, up to, I think, 6 people. And yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I think it's also very good to touch on when we first started doing these Facebook Lives. Before we had StreamYard, I remember I was in charge of holding the phone and filming Reyes, but you were in your office having to respond to comments on Facebook. It wasn't all combined together. So I think this does a great job of making sure that you can also participate in the lives if you want to, if need be, and then also making sure you're taking care of the back end stuff and getting back to the comments that we have or any questions. Reyes, do you want to speak more on how you think artists can use StreamYard or any type of really other platform to talk about kind of their business and what they're doing?
Sorry, could you rephrase the question?
Yeah. I think I just want to get your opinion on how artists can use StreamYard, why it's beneficial in this time right now to use a platform like StreamYard to kind of go online or go digital to get their work out there? Or do you think it adds a different element instead of using just a standard like Instagram or your website? I think it's great that people can get a visual element or a video of whoever it is.
Yeah. So one of the things I think one reason why a lot of people, I mean, artists included, are maybe apprehensive or maybe unsure about going digital or using digital platforms is because you do kind of lose that person-to-person communication. You lose that kind of like very interpersonal relationship that you build with the community, that you build with other individuals. And so I think when you kind of look at all these services, I mean, you're probably going to go to Facebook first because that's just what you're used to. You might already have a Facebook. And so like when you go on there, you realize, oh, I can't invite people. So it's just me talking at a camera. And now I alone have to do these things that carry, like so much content. I have to deliver it by myself and I have to do everything myself. And it becomes intimidating. And you do it on Instagram Live, like, okay, well, I can invite someone now. But now what if I want to invite someone that doesn't have an Instagram account or I want it to be more sophisticated. I can't do title cards. I can't do all this stuff. I just invite someone, we just talk. And that's good for its own reason. I've seen creatives and artists use that to their advantage, and that's great. And so I think kind of with having kind of a third party software in terms of like streaming to Facebook or streaming to Instagram or what have you, what you're then going to be able to do is build that community even smoother, right? You can have, and then you're going to get closer to what your intended effect was, right? So like we can respond to comments now. I myself do not have to go to Facebook, look to see the comments and respond to them. I can just do it straight from here. And it's that instantaneous kind of like, because the thing about like talking to someone in person is you can react to them in real time. You can see their expression on their face, their body language, their tone, right? And you can respond to that immediately. Here, not so much. And so I think the best, you're going to want to, at least in my experience, you want to replicate that kind of feeling. You want to replicate this interpersonal, communicative, communal experience. And so like, if that's really important to you, then kind of using like a StreamYard or a Zoom, what works best for you to replicate that experience, the better.
Yeah, and just to add on, if you are the host on StreamYard, you have to have an account. However, to have guests join in, you can just email them over the link and they'll be able to come right into the back end of StreamYard. So no worries if you're, you won't have to create an account just so you can be on someone else's StreamYard. You're just invited with a link and it's super simple. Reyes, I think we have a question for you. Let's bring this up.
Oh, that's not for me.
Well, I mean, do you want to try and give a?
I mean, it's already been answered, I believe, in the comments, but I think,
I
mean, you can bring in Angela, but so there's the free, and I think that one is limited in what you can edit or what you can customize or what variables you can control, whereas basic puts it a step above. Maybe Angela can go into what professional offers, but I believe basic opens it up to 6 guests to be able to have even much more. I think you can put your logo on the basic level, whereas on the free version, you can't put a logo.
And I think, Angela, I'm going to bring you back in so you can have kind of just expand more, because I know you already touched on this a little bit, but with the professional plan, you get to stream to more platforms. Is that what you were saying, like LinkedIn, YouTube Live?
Yeah, so there's a free version, which in the free version, you can still connect to Facebook, or you can pick up to one platform you can stream to. As far as, I think you can pick some branding colors, but if you want like your logo in the corner, you can't do that. If you want a specific color background, you can't do that. So like, I just switched it right now. It says like powered by StreamYard right up there. That's what comes on the free version. And with the paid version, the basic version, you can have your logo. So there is, the basic version is one step above the free. And I think it's only $20 a month. There's a professional version, which is another step higher. And I don't remember how much that one is. It might be like $35 or something a month. But with that one, you can stream up to 5 platforms at any given time. And I think there's other advanced options that it comes with that, again, are too far beyond what I need. The basic one is more than enough.
And then I guess I'm going to bring in Reyes so we can have like a full-on group discussion. What are your takeaways? Reyes, we can start with you with using StreamYard and any recommendations.
I mean, I've already said what I would like to say about StreamYard. Recommendations, though, I will say it's tough to put on a live show every 2 times a week. It brings totally different perspective on people who are able to consistently deliver online content. That usually takes entire staffs. Usually entire organizations are dedicated to just putting content online. And so like, if you're having trouble, I mean, that's normal. I mean, this is an entire endeavor. It takes a whole team. It takes time and energy and a lot to put on content, especially twice a week. And so for me, any recommendations I would have would be, if you're planning on going digital or online regularly, I would have maybe ideas set way in advance, right? So it's sort of like you want something to hone in on, or rather a target to hit. So for example, like we could be talking about anything, right? We could be talking about, I don't know, like the weather or something like that, right? But we're not weather people, right? So what are we? We're fresh arts. Well, that hones in on, okay, well, who do we serve? Artists and creatives. Okay, so therefore our target to hit is what content will best serve artists and creatives, right? And so like now whenever I bring something on the air where we have a guest, right? Because SBA, right? We had SBA, we had SCORE. They're primarily like kind of any small business, right? They deal with like people who run restaurants, with people who run galleries, to people who have hot dog carts or like or anything. But the thing is, we brought them on to kind of relate to creatives, to get creatives in on that process. And so that was the target we had, or I felt I had to hit with my questions or my interview, was like, whoever I'm bringing on, ultimately, what does that serve the artist community? And so I think for you, if you're planning on doing like a weekly or a regular consistent content, especially video or blogging or what have you, is provide those targets and parameters for you to hit and to kind of play within. I kind of adapted that from, so sometimes I write book reviews, and there's tons of books out there. There are tons of books I could read and write about. But then like I had to hone it in on like, okay, I'm only going to write about these types of books. And therefore it provides me a specific target or aesthetic to hit. So that's my main recommendation. Because with the resource roundup, every week I have to do research, and there's so many things going on and so many variables changing in the world. I have to provide something that's like, well, okay, well, Texas is opening back up again. Okay, why does that matter to artists? So having that angle, having that target to hit is going to really help you.
Definitely. And Angela, do you want to give any takeaway tips from your journey with having to switch to a digital platform?
I mean, my general tip would be that if you are considering doing something in the live streaming realm, if you want to maintain a connection with people in a time right now where we can't physically, just my recommendation would be just to do it, just to experiment. That's exactly what we've done. And it's okay that it's not perfect or it's not polished. I think just putting your face forward is the most important part. With Fresh Arts, where our content is something very specific, where we're trying to deliver information, but there are plenty of other artists that are using social media and live streaming platforms to show another side of their creative practice. So it can just be used with a tripod and your phone, showing viewers how to paint or how to do something specific about your creative practice. I watch a lot of videos where it's just two artists that are interviewing each other, and they're not these professional polished videos, but just hearing artists talk candidly. It's interesting. I enjoy that. And I've seen other artists. I'm going to give a shout out to Carla Sue, who on Instagram has been doing a really great job in using her platform on social media to highlight other artists. So if you don't follow Carla on Instagram, look for her, Carla Sue. She's created the Carla Sue Network, and it looks really awesome with her graphics, and there's music and a jingle, and she's featuring other artists like as if it was a shopping network. And she also does like an Instagram brunch thing where she invites another person in, and so that's another takeaway is if you can invite other people to be a part of your journey and highlight them and their stories and bring them in, do so for sure. And then also, I guess you don't have to be a part of this live streaming journey alone if you don't want to. I'm lucky to have you and Ray as a part of this, and again, if you aren't professional in terms of producing, find somebody who knows how to do those things. Lean in on your community. Ask questions. Ask us questions. Anybody can email me, Angela@fresharts.org, if you have any questions about this platform or other experiences I've had with online things. And again, if you are more of a behind the scenes person like me, partner with somebody who's that face and that personality.
And in that case, we have Reyes for that. So Reyes, thank you for that. Well, I think that's kind of wrapping up our Facebook Live today. I'm going to let Reyes give you all some closing notes. But thank you for joining with us and being with us on this journey as we're having to change along with you all. So hopefully this was helpful, and we're very grateful to be able to provide these Facebook Lives for the community and in some way that they help you guys. So Reyes, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. Just quickly, just to answer a question, Zach, yes, this will be available to watch later. Everything is archived. All of our videos are archived, not just on Facebook, but on our website as well at fresharts.org in our resource library. I'm sure we can put up a little graphic for that in a minute. But thank you to everyone. Thank you to Angela. Thank you. Oh, there it is, right there. So you can definitely check that out. You can see all of our other videos and all of our forthcoming, and you can watch this one there. You can check our Facebook. And so with that in mind, again, thank you to Sydney for conducting that interview. Thank you to Angela, again, for doing everything and working on this and being able to share some tips on her end. I know it's been a process, and again, we're always glad to help out the artist community however we can. And with that in mind, so next Tuesday, as always, Resource Roundup with me, Reyes, be featuring cool stuff for artists or for people who enjoy art, events that are happening, and also some resources. And so next Thursday, we'll let you know what we're doing then soon. But with that in mind, one thing to consider is that it's, again, as you heard, as you saw, it takes a team. It takes a lot of work to put on these videos to be able to provide you with information, to provide you with resources. And so in order to continue offering these really unique, free, and vitally important resources, well, again, that requires a network of support. So we kindly ask that you consider supporting our organization by becoming a friend of Fresh Arts if you have the means. Your support allows us to develop resources that respond to the unique needs of artists and artist-led organizations in our region and help strengthen the arts sector by supporting the people who make it all possible, the artists. So becoming a friend is easy. Just go to our website, fresharts.org, and you can visit this link. And you can click on the purple banner at the very top of our homepage, or you can go directly to this link. So please consider that. Please check out the rest of our resources. All of our videos, as I said before, are archived on our website and on Facebook. You're always welcome to send us a tip, send us anything you want us to cover, send us your events, send us your whatever you have, send it to us, and we'll probably find a way to put that in our programming in our videos. And so, yeah, you can share that with me, Reyes at fresharts.org, or you can share it there at that link. We have a form for that. So just let us know what you're doing. So we can feature it and share it on our channels. We absolutely want to feature our artist community and what everyone else is doing. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you come in next time on Tuesday, same time, same place. And yeah, stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you around.